isn't it easier for Uber to just comply with all of these state regulations and state laws? Why fight this when it costs money, it costs time, and ultimately you may have to hand over all this information anyway?
Well, actually, we do comply and we do hand over information every year. It's really easy to kind of simplify this issue as Uber against a regulator or a regulation. It's about much more than that, Bonnie. It's about protecting survivors' right to consent and their right to privacy. And it's also about not discouraging other companies from taking voluntary steps to be more transparent about the safety of their platforms and practices. Because it's really only by being more transparent and voluntarily so, like Uber has been, and having hard conversations about things like sexual violence, that you can actually make a difference and make the platform safer. So this is not about not wanting to turn over information. This is about turning over information, but doing it in a way that protects survivors of sexual violence.
Well, speaking of protection, California's Coronavirus Advisory Council met this afternoon to try to figure out a timeline for who should get the virus when and so on. What is Uber doing to advocate for its workers as emergency workers, for example, and when will they be in line?
Well, one of the great things about the Uber platform is that it can be used to encourage the widespread adoption of the COVID-19 vaccine. It's something that we've been advocating for a while now, that drivers and couriers who've been on the front lines, we've wanted them to be able to receive some kind of priority so that they and their families can be protected. And we were pleased to see over the weekend that the CDC recommended that drivers and couriers be treated as essential workers and have access to the vaccine behind healthcare workers and elderly individuals. The other thing that we're doing is we've committed 10 million free or discounted rides to help ensure that transportation is not a barrier to anyone, getting the vaccine. We're kicking off this effort in partnership with the National Urban League, the Morehouse School of Medicine, the National Action Network. These are organizations with deep ties in communities of color, which, as you know, Vonnie, have been disproportionately impacted by the pandemic. And so we're pleased to be a part of not only the economic recovery story, but we want to be part of the health recovery story as well.
And that's a phenomenal effort. But just for your employees, you mentioned the CDC had recommended that these be classified as essential workers, but have you advocated in any part on behalf of your own employees? And do you have any answers from California as to when they might expect to get vaccinated?
Well, again, just to clarify, it's for the not employees, but for drivers and couriers, the hundreds of thousands of drivers and couriers who are on the platform. We were advocating for them to be treated as essential workers. We believe, in terms of anybody else, we ought to wait in line and wait our turn to get the vaccine. But if you are on the front lines serving communities, as drivers have been doing, on the front lines delivering food, as couriers have been doing, we think that kind of heroic effort ought to put you in a priority category. And as I said, the CDC has recommended that those drivers and couriers be treated as essential workers and have access to the vaccine behind healthcare workers and elderly individuals.
How many coronavirus tests have you been providing to your drivers and couriers, as you say, and how much have you spent on that effort?
Well, we spent an awful lot of money on the COVID response. We were one of the first companies to step up back in March, as soon as it was clear that this pandemic was something that was widespread, to make sure that drivers and couriers on the platform had easy access to telehealth services, to be able to get COVID tests easily. We wanted to make sure that they had PPE, personal protective equipment, so that they could continue to do their job and earn at a time when there was widespread unemployment. People were being laid off. Earners on the platform were able to continue to earn crucial dollars to survive, and in part because we were providing free of charge this personal protective equipment. You may have seen it. I don't know if you've been in an Uber lately, but you may see that the plastic barrier. We had a very good partnership with Clorox to provide sanitary wipes, gloves, things that would not only make sure that riders felt safe whenever they trusted themselves to an Uber, but that drivers felt safe continuing to work on the platform.
Do you have a dollar amount that you can share with us, Tony, as to what that might have cost?
I haven't. I'm not going to share it here. I mean, it is part of the disclosure that I'm sure that we will make when we announce our quarterly earnings.
Now, what are your plans for the next California legislative session? You, I imagine, are thrilled that Prop 22 is out of the way for now. What is next?
Well, look, Prop 22 isn't the end. It's the beginning. It's the beginning of a conversation about how we can improve and up-level the quality of independent work. One of the things that was absolutely clear in this election is that independent workers said, we reject the status quo. We don't believe that we have to choose between the independence and flexibility that working on a platform like Uber or other platforms provides. Make a choice between doing that and the benefits and security that one can get out of traditional employment. They ought to be able to have both. This is the 21st century. We ought to be able to provide both. And so that has been the aim of this whole conversation. Prop 22 was one of the important milestones in that conversation, where voters really heard the voices of earners on the platform, of drivers and couriers on the platform, saying, we want to choose independence, but we want that independence to come with benefits, with minimum earning guarantees. And that is what happened. And we're looking forward to doing even more to really enhance the quality of independent work.
Tony, I do have to ask you, just on a personal note, you have a little bit of a relationship, let's say, with the White House, the administration incoming, and there's a couple of positions still to be filled, including, I don't know, Attorney General. Have you had any conversations?
No, I've not had any conversations at all about that. And look, I'll tell you this, all the speculation is definitely flattering. But the reality, and it's flattering because I love the Department of Justice. I spent half my career there. So obviously, and I have a great deal of respect for the men and women who are career attorneys there. But the reality is that President Biden, I completely have every confidence that President-elect Biden will be able to make the right decision, not only about that position, about, as we've seen through the other cabinet positions that he has filled, he has made the right decision, not only for those departments, but also for the country. And I believe that'll continue.